So I think gambling addiction's a really interesting issue in the UK at the moment. The latest surveys show that the number of gambling addicts in the country has gone up drastically, and I just really wanted to know why that was. So there was kind of two elements. I wrote two pieces for The Guardian. One was on gambling addiction, and I spoke to people who'd become addicted to different forms of gambling, and the other piece I wrote was on betting shop staff violence. So on the gambling addiction side, I was speaking to people who kept their addiction a secret to from their families for a decade. We're talking about people who hadn't told their wives and their children what they were doing. There was one guy I spoke to who would say he was going for a swim. He'd go out to the beach for a swim, and really he'd be going to the betting shop, and to sort of cover up for what he was doing, he'd actually just jump into the freezing cold sea and run out again. So he would return wet like he'd been swimming in the sea for an hour, but really he'd been at the betting shop. So there's some really sad stories, and people lost a lot of money. One person I interviewed lost 100,000, another lost 20,000. And on the betting shop staff side of things, there was betting shop staff who'd been threatened with violence. One tragic story where someone had repeatedly been threatened with rape. Just the most awful things, and this is going on all around us. So I think most newspapers operate, the system that the best story goes in the paper. It doesn't matter where it comes from, whether it comes from someone on work experience or the chief reporter. So the first thing to do is to come up with good stories, and they need a solid backbone. And things like this, it really helps to meet people in person, because you can only really gain a person's trust through meeting them in person. There's only so much you can do on the telephone. So that's come up with a good story, and meet your contacts and forge good relationships with them.